Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for the second class in your Heart Smart program, the science behind behavior change, building healthier habits. So last week, Nick talked to you guys about just an overall view of heart disease, and he also gave you guys a homework assignment. So I hope you guys read the article and found ways to apply it to your life. There'll also be a homework assignment at the end of this presentation too. Okay, so let's get started. So let's start by focusing on the overall picture. Ask yourself these questions and let these questions serve as a guide to forming a healthier habit. You don't have to put these questions in the chat or anything, or your answers to the questions in the chat. Just think of something and keep whatever you come up with in your mind as we go through this presentation. So think about what's important to you. What do you want the most out of life? And how does your behavior fit in with your goals and values? It doesn't have to be anything too deep, but just get some things in your mind. We pretty much know what's important to us and what we want out of life. And we know something because you guys registered to be in this course. So just keep whatever your answers are, your why, in the back of your mind. So what are some examples of unhealthy behaviors? First of all, there's way more unhealthy behaviors that are in the world that we do that aren't on this list. I'm just going to highlight a few. A lot of us are working in the office setting, and so we're doing a lot of sitting, and we know too much sitting is not good for us. Sitting or lying down for too long increases our risk of chronic health problems such as heart disease, diabetes, and some cancers. Too much sitting can also be bad for our mental health. Have you ever just been sitting for like long periods of time and you just zone out and you're not focused on what you're doing in the moment or what you have to do later? You're just there. And over time, that can really take a negative effect on your mental health. So I encourage you to, if you don't have a standing desk and you're able to stand while you work, to take a break from sitting and just walk around your office or your cubicle or wherever you are, just to break up some of the monotony of sitting down. Grazing on fatty and sugary foods. I wanted to touch on this one because, again, like if we're sitting down a lot, we are idle sometimes. Our hands like to have something to do. That's my issue. It's easy to do, and a lot of times we do it and we don't even realize we are. These are the snacks that are readily available and convenient most times. And most times they're not some grapes or apple slices. It's the candy, oh, well, this is for the people who come in to visit us in our office. Nobody's coming to visit, but we have that big old jar of chocolate Hershey's Kisses for them to enjoy, and then we're eating it. We have them tucked in our drawers to hold us over or provide a quick pick-me-up in the afternoon after we've had lunch and we're hitting that after lunch slump. But too much of that can lead to weight gain, another contributor to heart disease and diabetes. And constant grazing can also help us to feel full. And then we have no room for the actual nutritious meals that we packed or we plan to eat for lunch or dinner in order for our body to get the nutrients that we need. So I want to discourage everybody, from grazing on the fatty and the sugary foods. It's easy. That's why we have to be mindful of the stuff that we bring into our space, the stuff that we make convenient for us. And then the overuse of electronic devices. Now, one could think this is just a millennial problem or a young person problem or a teenage problem, but it is actually not. It can affect all age groups. There's a study published in the Journal of American Medical Association that found that too much screen time can also be linked to diabetes and cancer. And it's also been tied to an increased risk of mental health issues. Well, why is that? Well, have you ever just been scrolling on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever your YouTube, whatever your pleasure is, and you just, you're taking in everything that you see that people are posting. They're showing you their highlight reels. And so oftentimes you may compare it to what's going on in your life currently, and you're like, oh, look at this person. They've lost such and such amount of weight in 2 months, and I've been working at this for 6 months, and I've only lost 2 pounds. And then that starts to have a negative effect on your mental health and you start to put yourself down. So you want to limit your time. I'm not saying don't use your electronic devices or your cell phones, your iPads or anything, but just limit it. And then there are smartphones that allow you to see how much time you actually spend on your phone. If you're brave and you really struggle in this area, go ahead and turn it on and you'll be shocked. Now, I'm not that brave. I haven't turned mine off, but if you are and you want to turn that on, you can find that application in your settings. Okay, and so now we have a video on why we engage in behaviors that we know are unhealthy. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and share the video.
You know that feeling when you really want to accomplish something, but it seems like your brain is almost fighting against you?
We actually have something more like two minds.
That's Kelly McGonigal, author of The Willpower Instinct.
We have one brain that is very responsive to our immediate needs. And when we're in that mindset, we tend to make choices that are inconsistent with our long-term goals. But we also all have this other brain, this other mindset that thinks about long-term consequences, remembers what our big values are, takes a kind of expansive view on our lives and our choices. And when we're in that mindset and that system of the brain is in control of our choices, we tend to do things that make our future self actually happier and healthier, more productive, more successful.
So Kelly says that while many of us think of willpower as the ability to say no to that short-term part of our brain, it can actually be much more effective to tap into the different types of willpower that help us unleash the long-term part of our brain.
Many people think of willpower as the ability to resist temptation, but willpower is actually three powers. I will power, I won't power, and I want power. I won't power is what we typically think of as willpower. It's the ability to resist temptation. I will power. That's the ability to remember that you want the consequences of doing this difficult thing. And the third power, I want power, the ability to walk around the world with a clear memory of what it is you care about most, so that when you're deciding what to eat for lunch, it's not an automatic choice, but actually in that moment, you think about your desire for health. And actually what willpower does is it allows you to put your energy and attention on exactly what it is you want and what you care about.
So if we want to change automatic behavior prompted by that short-term part of our brain, we can't just rely on I won't willpower, which will eventually wear down. We also have to tap into I will willpower, like whenever I'm tempted to eat a piece of chocolate cake, I will eat a handful of carrots instead. Or I want willpower. Like when I'm tempted to smoke, I'll remind myself that I really want to be alive to see my grandchildren. By doing this, we're tapping into new sources of willpower, and it will make changing those behaviors that much easier.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Kirsten.
And I'm Jonathan, and we were.
Okay, so we need to tap into our willpower. There's this quote that I like to reference for not only myself, but just when I'm sharing with other people. Discipline will take you where motivation won't. So you have to be disciplined and tap into your I will power before, because when your motivation fails, what do you have? You have the discipline to keep going. So remember that discipline will take you where motivation won't or fails. Okay. So why is it so difficult to change habits? If it was easy, there would be no need for us. There would be no need for you to be in this program or this course because you could do it on your own. Why is it so difficult to change habits? Well, we aim too high. We try to hit a home run each time we step up to the plate. So we finally decided to change a particular habit, and then we tend to have an all or nothing approach. If we don't make it all the way to the home run, then we don't even acknowledge that we made it to first base. And that can have a detrimental effect on our willpower, in our determination, and on our mental health. So say your goal was to go from doing nothing, no walking, no anything, you're sitting down all day, to walking the walking paths here 3 times a day. You had a busy day for whatever reason, people kept coming in and out of your office, the phones wouldn't stop ringing, you just had patient after patient. So you weren't able to get up and get away from your desk to walk the walking path 3 times a day like you planned. But making it to first base could be as simple as walking in place in your office every time you pick up the phone. Maybe you do some squats or just marching around your immediate area. That's making it to first base and should still be acknowledged as a win because you're breaking up the monotony of sitting all day, which was your overall goal in the beginning. Aiming too high and focusing more on the outcome instead of the process can lead us to be disappointed and discouraged when we experience a setback. So I want to encourage us, everybody, to just, you have your overall goal, you have what will make you, what you're shooting for, the home run, but celebrate the first base, the second base, and the third base, and what have you. So building healthy habits. You want to tie into existing habits first. The best way to form a new habit and have it to stick is to tie into something that you're already doing. So look for patterns in your day and think about how you can use those habits to create new positive ones. So for many of us, our morning routine is our strongest, if not our only routine. We get up out the bed, we may do some meditation, some prayer, we may exercise, have our coffee, get the kids ready for school if you have them, and then get out the door, rushing to work or whatever. So that may be the time to incorporate a new habit because you already have a routine. So let's say you wanted to take some time to journal. So you would incorporate just a small amount of time into your morning routine to journal. And so that way it's not like you're starting some big, huge new task or routine. You're already just tying it into something that's already happening. You're already used to getting up early and doing your morning routine. Now you're just adding something small into it. And then that goes right into starting small. So think Rome wasn't built in a day. Start with tiny habits to make the new habit as easy as possible in the beginning. Taking a short daily walk could be the beginning of an exercise habit. Like I said in the previous slide about celebrating first base, second base, third base, that's the same thing as starting small. If you come with some big, huge, lofty goal, it'll be hard to stick to it. So like, I know I'm not a runner, so I wouldn't say I'm going to wake up on Tuesday morning and run a marathon. Well, one, I have to work, but even if I didn't, I'm not going to say I'm going to run a marathon. That is not starting small. That could be a good goal, but end goal, but starting small would be, I'm just going to get up and walk a mile or however long I can do, and then build upon that to my marathon. And then aim for daily repetition. So although healthy habits can take a while to create, they form faster when you do them more often. So start with something reasonable that is easy to do, that you'll stick with, that you can do often. Clear out all the obstacles. Make it easy for yourself. That's a reoccurring theme that you're going to hear, making it easy for yourself so you'll stick with it. If you're trying to form a habit of, let's say, not eating out for lunch every day, then take the time to prepare your lunch from the night before. That way you aren't scrambling in the morning, trying to get your lunch together, trying to get out the door. Because then what happens is, okay, well, you may not have time to even do that scramble. So you just say, okay, I'll just pick something up from the cafeteria, or I'll just go out to V's and get some smoked wings or whatever it is. If you clear out those obstacles, you're more likely to stick to trying to build that habit. And then reward yourself. It's okay to reward yourself for sticking to the plan that you created. With weight loss, the reward can take some time to see. Like I like to think that I'm going to work out Tuesday evening and then Wednesday morning, I'm going to wake up in a whole new body. That is not the case. So you have to pick something that you can enjoy to reinforce your new healthy habit that you're incorporating. But be careful not to reward yourself with another unhealthy habit. Like, don't reward yourself and go to an all-you-can-eat buffet. We don't want to do that. So how environment impacts habits. So we have a smoke-free workplace. You work here, you're not supposed to be smoking on campus. Well, that has, multiple positive effects. It's associated with lower cigarette consumption per continued smoker. your reduced prevalence of smoking as well as consumption. And all of that can stop the, risk of lung cancer, but then it just makes the environment better. You don't want to walk through a cloud of smoke or anything. So think about how you can apply this logic to other areas of your life, how your actual environment can impact your habit. What can you do at home that can help you to build a healthier habit or continue a healthier habit, or at church or at the gym? Think about how your environment where you are every day can help shape that. All right, so you want to change to a healthier behavior. Ask yourself these questions. How can you make it obvious? How can you make it attractive? How can you make it easy? How can you make it satisfying? And then consider the opposite of trying to stop unhealthy habits. So how can you make it obvious? If your goal is to include an apple every day with your lunch, put a Post-it note on the fridge to remind you. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the show on TLC, My 600 Pound Life. Well, it's one of my favorites. I watch it all the time. But the doctor on there, Dr. Now, he's known for his blunt delivery of how his patients are improving or not improving. So what I've done before is I put a picture of Dr. Now on the refrigerator or next to the treadmill that I'm walking by and not getting on it. And I would think in my head, look at me, I'm getting ready to be on this show. And Dr. Now is telling me, well, why aren't you getting your physical activity in? Why are you reaching for the ice cream instead of the apple? That's just something that works for me. It's funny and it's an obvious reminder that's in my face. So just pick something that as soon as you see it, it triggers you to, or it prompts you to stick to your healthy behavior change. And how can you make it attractive? If something isn't appealing to you, you're less likely to do it. For me, working out becomes more attractive when I have new workout clothes or shoes, accessory, or when I'm starting a new program. So whatever your healthy behavior is, figure out how you can make it more attractive. And then how can you make it easy? We talked about that in the last slide. If you want to eat an apple every day for lunch, pack your lunch the night before. And how can you make it satisfying? Don't do stuff that you won't enjoy. Like the marathon example. I don't enjoy running. I'm not training to run a marathon, so I wouldn't get out there and just be running. Do something. I like HIIT workouts. So some of us may be dancers, so we like Zumba. You can go on YouTube and type in any type of dance program. Just do something that will be satisfying for you, that you would enjoy. The emphasis on that you would enjoy, not anybody else. Okay, so in his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear says, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The same way that our money multiplies through compound interest, those same effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. And then it seems to make a little difference on any given day, but they deliver a huge impact over the months and years. So that's what we see happening in this chart. A 1% difference in either direction, blue or red, can yield positive results or negative results over time. So if you look at the blue, we want to be on the blue line, just a 1% difference, just a 1% change over time, daily, we're repeating it. And then pretty soon we're skyrocketed up to the top. And this change, it's part of our lifestyle now. The same can happen with this red line down here. We keep down the path of not changing our behaviors, even if it's just a little bit each day. Okay, well, I'm not gonna get up and do my exercise routine today. I'm just gonna continue on. I'll do it tomorrow, next Monday, all the Mondays in the year. And then pretty soon our health has declined, and that it's increased our risk for heart disease. So just start small changes in the positive direction so your blue line can go up. That's basically what this chart is talking about. So there are 6 stages of change that we will go through to build a healthy habit. We're going to go through each one on the next few slides. So pre-contemplation. In this stage, you're not thinking about changing yet, or you're unwilling or unable to change. The primary task of this stage is to raise awareness. So you know high cholesterol runs in your family, but there's nothing you can do, so you're not even thinking about changing. Or you've tried so many times to lose weight, it's hopeless. So again, you're not even thinking about changing because it's hopeless. But in order to get out of this stage and move forward, you have to realize that what you're currently doing conflicts with your personal goals. And those personal goals are what I had you to think about in the very first slide. What is your why? Your why is your personal goals. Contemplation. So in this stage, you see the possibility of change, but you could go either way and you're uncertain of if you want to do it, if you can do it. The primary task of this stage is to help choose change. So you're thinking about it, but now all the reasons why you can't do it come into your mind. I don't have time to exercise. I know it's good for me, but I just crave sugar when I'm stressed or tired or angry or whatever. And so how you get out of this stage and move to the next stage is you're going to list the pros and the cons of the lifestyle change, and then how you could overcome the barriers. So in the pros column, you would say, I know it's good for me to eat more vegetables or to grab a fruit when you're craving sugar. And then that's a pro. And then in the cons, eating the sugar, you'll list, if you continue to eating the sugar, what will happen? Weight gain, it cause you to be more sleepy, increase your risk of heart disease, diabetes, you feel sluggish. And most times, if you're being completely honest with yourself, you'll see that the cons are way longer than the pros. The cons of not changing, you want the pros to, the pros will be way longer than the cons. I don't know what I'm talking about. So you could do something simple like this. Just make a little chart and then the pros and cons, and you can fill it in however you want. So you can have physical activity, healthy food choices, put whatever habits you want. And this is going to be part of your homework assignment. You're going to get a chart just like this or create one and just list whatever healthy habit you want to start or continue, and list the pros and the cons. And then for each of the cons, you want to create a workaround, a way to get over that barrier. So you want to exercise more, but you exercise outside. Well, a con could be, the weather, it could rain one day. It could be too hot or too cold. So how do you overcome that barrier? And then the preparation stage. In this stage, you're committed to changing. Now you're like, I'm going to do it now. The primary task in this stage is to identify appropriate change strategies. You want to create a realistic action plan with achievable goals. You'll create your SMART goals. You'll do that in a later class in this program. And then identify reasonable alternatives to obstacles. We talked about that in the last plan. How are you going to overcome your barriers? And then in those, identify the common barriers to healthy habits. I don't have the time. I don't have the willpower. I don't like the taste of healthy foods. All of these you can come up with an alternative. I like to tell myself, I don't have the time. I have the same 24 hours as everybody else. So I have to make them work for me. And then I don't have the willpower. That's when the determination comes in, the determination to reach your why, the determination to reach your goal. I can't do this alone. You don't have to. There's plenty of groups that you can join. We can help support you here in wellness, and there's always a workaround. And if you need help identifying a workaround or an alternative to your obstacle, reach out to us. We'll help you. Action. In this stage, you're finally doing it. You've thought about it. You've made a plan. Now you're doing it. Changes have been made, but you're still encountering some of those obstacles. You want to practice the alternatives or the workarounds that we established in the preparation stage in this stage. So track your progress, your activity journal, your food diary, your weight log, so you can see it. So you can look and be like, okay, so I've walked 5 miles now. I can do 5 miles consistently versus when I first started, I could only do 1. All right, so I'm making a progress. get support. As I said, let other people know that you are making a change. That way they can help keep you accountable, because if it's just us, you could tell yourself anything. Oh, I don't have to do that today, but somebody else might be like, hey, didn't you say you wanted to walk the walking path during lunch? It's lunchtime and you're at your desk. I'll walk with you, or something like that. So just let people know, and then they can celebrate you when you reach your goals. And then reward yourself for a job well done. Changing behaviors, it's a task. So anytime you reach that goal, celebrate it. And now the maintenance stage. In this stage, you've achieved your goal and now you're working to maintain the change. Sometimes maintenance is more difficult than any of the other stages because you're already there. You've already reached your goal. So now you need to create a new goal. You're in your, this is the new me, and you've practiced this new behavior for about 6 months. You're like, all right, I got this, but then you may hit the plateau stage. So, or you may just be bored. Well, mix up the routine, change how you're doing things, and then avoid triggers associated with the old habit. If you know that your family typically has a fish fry every Friday, and you're one of the heavy hitters there, you don't like to miss it, try to avoid them, or eat before you go, or bring something that you can eat that will not push you further away from your goals while you're there. So these are the 6 stages of change. All right. So now ask yourself, is it time for a change? How do you know? Ask yourself, is changing the behavior important to you and only you? You want to change for yourself because that's the only way you'll stick to it. If you change for somebody else or something else, it's not likely to stick. Will you be healthier or better off if you change the behavior? Would changing the behavior stretch you beyond your present level, yet is within your reach? That was the thing about running a marathon. Is it beyond my present level? Yes. Is it within my reach? Not right now at this moment. So I need to scale back that goal, that short-term goal, just a little bit so I can reach it. Is the goal for the behavior change your personal desire and not what someone else desires for you? Again, change for yourself. Is your goal clear and specific? And that's what comes into when you're making your SMART goals. Is your goal something you can count or measure, which is really good. You don't want to ever have a goal that doesn't have anything you can measure. You want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to do this I'm going to walk 3 miles a day, 5 days a week for 2 weeks, to see how that goes. That way, at the end of 2 weeks, you could say, okay, did I walk 3 miles a day for 5 days out the week? Did I do that? And it's easy to say, yes, I did, no, I didn't, or whatever your goal is. So you ask yourself these questions and determine, is it time for a change? All right, next class is simplifying nutrition and weight control. You're gonna scan this QR code right here that you see on your screen to receive credit for today's class. It's just gonna ask you for your name and your employee ID and all that, and the questions that pertain to this lecture so that you can receive credit. John is gonna send a follow-up email with this presentation and last week's presentation and the recordings, as well as these 2 assessments, post-class assessments, in case you missed the last one. All right, so I'll leave this up here for a few minutes if you're scanning it. And then Nick also dropped it in the chat, so you can just click it and it'll take you there as well. Thank you, guys.